Welcome to week number 6 of my Survivor review. Now between this week and last week, I had the opportunity to look at some of the other Survivor recap shows on the internet. And despite the strange company I'm keeping, I will continue to do this show. Now last week my show was 9 minutes long. In fact, every week I do this, the show keeps getting longer and longer. And at this rate, by the end of the season, my show will be about 2 hours long, recapping a 1-hour episode of Survivor. So let's just keep this moving. Now before we get into the actual show, let's highlight a tweet from one of my favorite Survivors. This one comes from Christina Cha, or Tristina Cha, or Katrina, whatever your name is. SurvivorTrev, LOL, your Korean reference, too much. Loving your vlogs. Now if you don't know what the Korean reference was, watch last week's show. Now since we're on the topic of Christina, let's highlight another one of her tweets. In it she says, "Being a chick is exhausting. If I took care of myself like a typical guy does for himself, I may possibly never get laid." I can't believe that's true. If Apple made Survivor contestants, you, Kim, and Chelsea would be known as eye candy. And I'd be willing to bet that all those Foxconn workers wouldn't be killing themselves if they worked in the eye candy factory instead of the iPhone and iPad factories. Oh, look at this! Looks like I got some tree mail here. Now, as you may or may not know, this season of Survivor, Survivor One World, is Survivor 24. But Survivor 25 is being filmed right now as I speak. And lucky for you, I have somebody on the inside giving me spoilers. And that's what this tree mail is all about. Are you ready for the first ever Survivor 25 spoiler? Well, here it goes. Oh, this one's juicy. You'll love this one. Tonight, somebody got voted out. You heard it here first. Survivor 25 spoiler. Sorry to ruin it for you. Well, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the real reason why you came here, the Survivor One World review. Now, judging from last week's preview, we all knew that somebody was going to get medevaced from this episode. Now, personally, I thought that either Tarzan was going to have a heart attack, Leaf was going to be eaten by a giant clam, or a snake was going to bite Alicia on her giant butt. But guess what? None of that happened. So the episode starts out with the Manano tribe coming back from tribal council after just voting out Monica. And we're treated to one of the most despicable and vile browbeatings I've seen in a while. Colton and Alicia mercilessly attack Christina. During this time we learn 4 things. Number 1, Christina, she's got some really sexy campfire night vision eyes. Number 2, Christina also has some of the best resolve I've seen of any Survivor in the history of the show, and I've seen every episode. She's not at all visibly shaken by this verbal assault from Colton and Alicia. Number 3, we learn that Colton and Alicia are trash. And if you thought they were trash before, this just reinforces it. And number 4, we realize that Alicia puts the ass in low class when she won't let poor Christina lay in the shelter at night. And not being able to lay in the shelter is probably what Christina meant when she said she had problems getting laid. Because I can't imagine her having problems getting sex. Over on the Solani tribe, Kat gets murdered in her dream by Alicia. So up next, both tribes get tree mail and it's time for the reward challenge. The clue reads that it's a backyard game. I'm hoping for jarts. But when the survivors get to the challenge, we realize that it's the very popular bounce a coconut off of a net into a target game. And do you want to know what they were playing for? Ice cream. Ice cream sounds pretty good right now. I'm sure it sounded even better to them on Survivor. So in a shocker, Solani wins the challenge and gets an all-you-can-eat ice cream feast on the beach. And surprisingly, no one requests coconut ice cream. So Manano racks up another loss, and Colton, who did nothing during the challenge, critiques Christina's performance during the challenge. Now for the record, Colton and Alicia scored 0 points in this challenge. If this challenge was a cocky about nothing challenge, Colton and Alicia would have scored hundreds of points. So while the winning Solani tribe goes and stuffs their face with ice cream, The losing Monano tribe goes back to camp. And this is where Colton gives Christina 3 options. She can either quit the game, wait another 2 days and get voted out of the game, or jump in the fire. So knowing that she's in trouble, Christina starts to scramble. So she grabs Leaf and Jonas Brother. And it seems like Christina is really getting through to Jonas Brother, which at this point I'm all for. Anything that will keep Christina in the game longer is a good thing, but I'm thinking to myself, Jonas Brother, don't you have a mind of your own? So up next we find out that Colton isn't feeling so well. He's got headaches, stabbing pains in his abdomen, brown pee. He's not feeling so hot. And this is when we find out that there's actually 2 reward challenges in this episode. The first reward challenge, the Solani tribe won, and they got to eat ice cream. The second reward challenge, everybody wins, because Colton has appendicitis. And he has 3 options. He can get medevaced, he can jump in the fire, or he can die of appendicitis. He chooses to be medevaced. Now obviously you're familiar with the term fight fire with fire. And apparently the same is true if you want to fight poo or crap. We're trying to keep it clean here. So it took a piece of crap to infect Colton's appendix to get rid of the piece of crap known as Colton. Which makes me wonder, how is this steaming pile gonna get humbled? So Colton is crying like a little girl and begging Jeff Probst not to take him out of the game, and Jeff Probst, stone-faced, without any emotion or compassion for Colton, and rightfully so, asks Colton, so do you still have the idol? And what are you going to do with it? So as you would expect from Colton, in a selfish and petty act, he keeps the idol that was given to him and gets carted out. Now just between you and I think this appendicitis thing is crap. I think the cavity that normally contains your soul became infected on Colton because it was vacant for so long. So now that Colton's gone, I think to myself, Jonas Brother, you are lost in the woods, my friend. But he surprises me. He actually wants to take the reins and start making some moves. So apparently it was New Year's Eve in his kimono, and the balls dropped, and Jonas is playing this game. Which makes sense because Jonas has been getting a lot of airtime, and he really hasn't said a whole lot. But I think Jonas is going to go far in this game, and I'm actually starting to like him a little bit. Next up, it's time for Tribal Council, and this time they want both tribes to attend. At Tribal, Jeff Probst explains to everybody that Colton was removed from the game because of his appendicitis. Which brings us to this week's segment of This Week in Dumb, featuring Kat. Kat is so afraid that playing Survivor is a danger to her appendix, and since everybody's had theirs out already, she might be next on the list to go. Kat, don't worry. If you can live without a brain, you can definitely live without an appendix. So Jeff Probst ends Tribal Council with a nice twist. He tells everybody to drop their buffs because they're now merged. Now Kat, calm down. Just because they said it's time to merge doesn't mean that it's going to be in a human centipede kind of way. So you're not going to be the segment behind Tarzan, okay? A tribe merge just means that the 2 tribes become 1 tribe, and you're that much closer to the end of the game. So relax. So at the end of the episode tonight, Colton tweets, I always thought I was a bigger bitch than Karma. I was wrong. Colton, Karma might be a bigger bitch than you, but Karma isn't a low-rent, low-quality human being like yourself. So you've still got the edge there. So that's all I got. What you need to do right now is hit the subscribe button right up here. You need to follow me on Twitter at SurvivorTrev. And was this episode shorter than last week's episode? Damn!